All right, so today we're going to talk about a really powerful way to think about success, and it comes from the legendary investor Ray Dalio. But here's the twist. This whole framework, this whole idea, it wasn't born from some flash of genius. Nope, it was born from a massive, spectacular public failure. I mean, just listen to this quote. "A blow to my head with a baseball bat." That's how he described it. And to really get a handle on his principles for success, you have to start right here, at this moment of absolute rock bottom. This pain is literally the foundation for everything that came next. So, you know how every great story has that call to adventure? Well, for Ray Dalio, his driving force was interesting. It wasn't about playing it safe. He just wanted a great life. And he had this core belief that being mediocre, just being average, that was way, way scarier than failing. He'd rather try and fail spectacularly than just be boring. And, well, that kind of mindset, it leads you to take some massive risks. So picture this. It's the early 1980s. Dalio is 100% convinced he knows exactly what the global economy is about to do. And he's so sure he's willing to bet everything, his entire company, Bridgewater, on this one single bet. This was the setup for the biggest mistake of his life. And what was the bet? He believed the U.S. economy was on the brink of a total catastrophe. We're not talking a little dip. We're talking a full-blown depression. And the confidence he had, it was off the charts. He went on TV, he testified before Congress, he put all his clients' money on the line. He went all in, publicly telling everyone he was right and they were wrong. And then the exact opposite happened. The market didn't crash. It soared. The U.S. economy was actually kicking off one of the biggest bull runs in history. So Dalio wasn't just a little bit wrong. He was completely 100% devastatingly wrong. And he'd done it all in public. You can just imagine the humiliation. The fallout was brutal. Bridgewater, his company, basically imploded. He had to let go of pretty much all of his employees. It got so bad he was so broke that he had to borrow this exact amount, $4,000, from his own dad just to cover the family's bills. I mean, that's rock bottom. So what do you do then, right? When you've been hit that hard, you've got a choice. You can pack it in, give up, go get a safe job somewhere, or you can figure out a new way forward. For Dalio, this absolute moment of crisis, well, it turned into the biggest discovery of his life. And this is what he figured out. This is the big lesson. That awful, humiliating pain, it wasn't just an ending. It was a signal, a really loud one. And he came up with his formula. Pain plus honest reflection on that pain equals progress. This simple idea, this is the absolute core of everything he believed. So instead of just letting that failure crush him, he did something incredible. He took that raw, painful lesson and turned it into a system, a repeatable process that really anyone can use to take their own failures and turn them into fuel. And that system is what he now calls his 5-step loop. The key word there is loop. It's not a straight line where you just do things once. It's a cycle, something you do over and over again to keep evolving and moving upwards towards whatever you're trying to achieve. Okay, so let's break it down. Step 1, you've got to have clear goals. Know what you're running after. Step 2, you will run into problems. That's not you failing, that's just part of the game. Step 3, you have to diagnose those problems. Get to the real root cause, not just the surface level stuff. Step 4, design a plan to get around that root cause. And finally, step 5, you actually have to do it. Execute the plan. And once you succeed, you go right back to step 1 with a new, bigger goal. That's the loop. Now, when you look at that, it sounds pretty simple, right? It just makes sense. So why don't more people do it? Why is it so hard in practice? Well, Dalio figured out that the problem isn't the process. The problem is us. It's what's happening inside our own heads. He says there are basically 2 huge mental barriers that get in our way. He calls them the monsters you have to fight on your journey. And their whole job is to stop you from seeing reality for what it is and from actually learning from your mistakes. Okay, so let's meet the monsters. First up is your ego. You know that voice in your head that just hates being wrong? The one that gets all defensive when someone gives you criticism? That's the ego barrier. It's your need to be right getting in the way of finding out what is right. Then you've got the blind spot barrier. This one's a little different. It's just the simple fact that you can't see everything. We all have blind spots. There are risks and opportunities out there that you literally cannot see, but other people can. So, how in the world do you get past these two huge mental roadblocks? Well, Dalio says he found the answer. He calls it his holy grail. It's one single shift in your thinking that lets you conquer both your ego and your blind spots and start making way, way better decisions. And here it is. It's called radical open-mindedness. It's pretty simple, but it's profound. You have to trade the joy you get from being right for the joy you get from learning what's true. Think about that. You stop defending your own position and you just get genuinely curious. The best way to do that? Go find the smartest people you can who disagree with you and just try to see the world the way they see it. So, how do you actually do this? Well, the goal isn't to win an argument. The goal is just to understand. You seek out people who see things differently, you let go of your need to be right, and you just listen. Dalio has this great analogy for it. He says it's like going from seeing the world in black and white to seeing it in full, vibrant color. All of a sudden, you can see things that were completely invisible to you before. And all of this leads to this kind of beautiful final realization. As Dalio got more and more successful, he found something weird. Actually achieving the goal, it wasn't the best part. He started to see the goals as just bait. They're there to get you to go on the journey. The real reward is the struggle itself. It's the person you become while you're trying to get there. That's the prize. So we end up right back where Dalio was after his big failure. We all have that choice. We can play it safe, stay where we're comfortable, or we can step into that unknown jungle to chase something meaningful. Dalio's principles are basically a map for that journey. So the final question he kind of leaves for all of us is, what's your jungle? What's the great adventure you need to go on in order to evolve?